Hello viewers, I'm here today to talk about the themes of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. These are the themes which I have come up with. I know of course there are many themes, but I think that these 4 themes are worth discussing, so we'll discuss them one by one. First, let us see the theme of resurrection. On personal level, the first book of the novel, Recalled to Life, traces the resurrection of Dr. Mannett and Jerry Cruncher. Charles Darnay is imprisoned and released twice in the course of the novel. Sidney Curtain achieving a form of resurrection through sacrificing himself. On social level, the book implies that the death of the old regime in France prepares the way for beautiful and peaceful Paris. So now, coming to the theme of resurrection, first let us understand what resurrection means. Resurrection means rising from the dead. Okay, although none of the characters are brought back to life, here Charles Dickens is dealing with a kind of spiritual resurrection. Okay, and this theme of resurrection is actually borrowed from the Bible. When we look at John chapter 11, verse 25, we'll see that. Okay, in that John chapter 11, Martha was complaining to Jesus. She was complaining that had Jesus been earlier, okay, Lazarus would not have died. Jesus was 4 days late. But then how Jesus replied in verse 25. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life." Charles Dickens, he was also a Christian, and being a Christian, he believed that the righteous behavior ultimately will lead to one's resurrection. So he borrowed that idea from the Bible. Okay, and this resurrection is a prominent theme in Dickens' novel. That's why he deals with the characters on personal level, and he deals with France on social level. Okay, and this theme of resurrection is elucidated on 2 levels, personal level and social level. Like I told you, it's a recurrent theme and it's a prominent theme, and Charles Dickens would like to emphasize on this theme so much, okay, that he deals on and on again in his novel. Anyway, now let's see on personal level. The first book of the novel, Recalled to Life, traces the resurrection of Dr. Mannett and Jerry Cruncher. Let us first deal with Dr. Mannett. In the first book, the name of the first book is called Recalled to Life. Okay, in this part we can read as a kind of Dr. Mannett's resurrection. You know why? Because Dr. Mannett, he was held in prison for a very long time. He stayed in prison for like 18 years, and finally when he was released from prison, it's like he is brought back to life. Okay, and for Charles Dickens, what we have to know is that staying in prison for him is a symbol for death. Okay, because some critics believe that it may be related to Charles Dickens' father being imprisoned in debtor's prison in Marshalsea. That time Charles Dickens' family were facing a big problem, like financially they were weak, and Charles Dickens have to become the bread earner of the family, so he works in boots factories. And also for Charles Dickens, prison is a kind of image of death, or a kind of symbol for death. So here Dr. Mannett's imprisonment is also a kind of him dying. Okay, however, he is brought back to life after his release. Okay, then one thing which I want to mention here is that even when Jarvis Lorry, okay, when he went to Paris in 1775, on his way, on his journey, he imagines that this Dr. Mannett, he has been buried for 18 years and finally he's brought back to life, but he fears that him coming back to life will not be normal. Dr. Mannett will fall into pieces. That's what he thinks. And then of course to some extent he's right. He's right, because Dr. Mannett, when he is put under stress and pressure, he used to revert to cobbling. He used to start mending shoes and all such. Okay, so most importantly, what we have to remember and what we can learn from here is that Dr. Mannett's release from prison is like a man brought back to life. Then Jerry Cruncher. How is Jerry Cruncher related with the theme of resurrection? You know, Jerry Cruncher, he is a kind of messenger for this Tellson's Bank. But you know, Jerry Cruncher, he literally qualifies the theme of resurrection because he's literally the resurrection man. Why? Because his second profession involved in what? Involved in digging, stealing dead bodies from graveyards and selling them to medical students. So he, in a way, his work is like to resurrect the dead. Okay, so he qualifies the theme of resurrection too. Then Charles Darnley. Charles Darnley is imprisoned and released twice in the course of the novel. You know, in book 1, chapter 2, Darnley was accused of being a spy, and he was to be found guilty if it had not been for Sidney Curtain. You know, Sidney Curtain saving him. And this showed that the theme of resurrection on Darnley's character is being recalled to life. Okay, if Curtain had not saved him, then he was sure to have been found guilty by jury, and then he would have been sentenced to death. But because of Sidney Curtain, he was saved and he was recalled to life. He was resurrected. Okay, then again, later on, Darnley is imprisoned and sentenced to death in France because of something his uncle and his father did many years ago. During that time, all hope was lost to set him free. But then again, you know, Curtain switches places with Darnley, and then he is given extra chance at life, and therefore he is reborn. Okay, so Charles Darnley is tried twice and then he is released twice. So it's like he's about to die 2 times, but then again he's resurrected 2 times. Okay, then Sidney Curtain achieving a form of resurrection through sacrificing himself. Now Sidney Curtain, you know, Sidney Curtain, his life has no significance in the beginning of the novel, but then, you know, after meeting Lucy Mannett, he started changing slowly by slowly, and then he started wanting to do with his life. He want to serve some purpose in his life. Okay, then, you know, we can see in book 1, chapter 4. He told Lucy, okay, that he would do anything for her. Okay, anything for her. Then, you know, later on when he got the chances of saving Darnley, he actually did something for Lucy, because in a way he thinks that by making Lucy happy and then by giving another chance of life to Charles Darnley, he envisions that he thinks that he's doing the best thing, and then he envisions that someday to Charles Darnley and to Lucy Mannett, a son will be born, and that son, okay, will bear Curtain's name. And in a way, it's like though he dies in place of Charles Darnley, he will live through that child. Okay, he will be resurrected. So that is on personal level. Now coming to social level. The book implies that the death of the old regime in France prepares the way for beautiful and peaceful Paris. On social level, France is resurrected. France, the old regime France will be dead, and new France will be dear, and this new France will be beautiful and peaceful. Okay, now coming to order and disorder. Theme of order and disorder. French Revolution, disorder in Paris, and Soho in England, order. When we say order and disorder, we mean, okay, the situations in France and the situations in England. You know, in France, everywhere there was disorder. Of course, there was French Revolution, there was disorder, but contrasting to that, in England, it was so peaceful that time. Okay, now I will discuss in details. Why was France in disorder? You see, from the very beginning of the novel, okay, we come to know that the story takes place during the turbulent years of this French Revolution. It means that there was disorder in France during that time. Okay, Dickens stresses the chaos of revolutionary in France, and he compares it by using some images of ocean. Okay, he calls the Paris mob a living sea, and he even compares this Ernest Defarge like a whirlpool, caught in a whirlpool. Okay. Then again, in book 3 chapter 2, under the heading The Grindstone, Charles Darnley was arrested at what time? At the time of September massacre. So Dickens is portraying the chaos or disorder in France in his novel. So there was disorder everywhere in France, but contrasting to this, on the other hand, there was order in England. Why? Because Dr. Mannett's home in Soho, okay, that is in England, that is a place for refuge for it is a kind of refuge for Darnley, for Curtain, and for Laurie. So all in all, what we can know from here is that France was in the midst of violent revolution, the revolution against irresponsible and gluttonous aristocracy. But on the other hand, in England, what happened was that England was entering upon a very peaceful revolution. That is, the country was changing from agricultural to industrial. So there was both order and disorder during the course of the novel. Okay, then we have class struggle. Now, this A Tale of Two Cities can be read as Marxism also. Now you must be wondering, or you must be wanting to ask, what is Marxism, isn't it? Marxism in literature, okay, is a social theory. It is established by Karl Marx and Friedrichs. The Marxism focuses on representation of social conflicts between capitalist and working classes. So in this novel, we can see the struggles between the two classes, that is, French lower class and French government and aristocracy on the other hand. Okay, so Charles Darnley's uncle, he belonged to aristocratic class, and he lives a life of glamorous and extravagant life. Okay, not only that, he also have financial power, and he has social and political power, and sometimes he uses those for controlling the government in order to fulfill his own necessity. So while on the other hand, what happened, the working class people, they have to pay high taxes, okay, because they were charged with many taxes in the form of many things. Then these people, when they can barely feed their family, they work very hard in order to pay the taxes, and then they started feeling injustice in their life. So these injustices which they felt paves a way for revolution. So the struggle faced by the lower classes was so unfair. It was so unfair that they wanted to change the aristocratic government into republic with the motto liberty, equality, fraternity, and death. So there was class struggle, or there was social conflict or class conflict between the French lower class and the French government and aristocracy. Now finally, we have theme of doubles, duality, more often oppositional. We can see many doubles from its title to its character. Its title mentions two cities, right? So it occurs in double. Then the opening lines in the novel establish centrality of doubles, okay? By using antithesis, the writer opens the line with, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. So the sentence occurs in double, and they are antithesis, they are oppositional, right? So these themes of double we can find in the very opening lines of the novel too. Then these doubles we can find in characters also. You see, characters are portrayed sometimes as identical doubles and sometimes as oppositions double. Okay, identical doubles as in Charles Darnley and Sidney Curtain, who look alike, but then contrasting character as in Lucy Mannett and Madame Defarge, when one is more loving kind than the other one is like rude. Okay, rude and brutal and violent. So that is the theme of doubles which are employed in the novel A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Well guys, I hope you understand. Anyway, thank you. We'll do this much for today. Anyway, take care. Bye bye.